All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to, or I guess hello to myself again. I should just say hello to myself every video. But anyways, so look, this is Friday's news drivers. I didn't hop on yesterday, so let me just look at both. All right, so this is what we had for Thursday. We had CPI, and we had that at 8:30, and we had this, and then we also had these. So again, I'm not trying to predict these news drivers or anything, or like predict how they're gonna go. I'm just focusing on the after effect of them, right? So that's really why we were bringing that up. And so here we go. Let's actually start here on the monthly chart. And there we go. There we go. There we go. Right. Okay. So here we are. This is where we currently are in price. Now, what I was suggesting is that currently there are, people who've placed their buy stops above here, right? And we'll look at this on a lower time frame, but let's first get to our higher time frame chart. Let me make sure, yeah, I'm on that, all right? And let's look at, what's been going on, right? So has anything changed on the monthly? No, still bullish. How about the weekly, or sorry, for NQ and DS, right? It's both the same. Weekly, same. Weekly, same. Let me make this recording. Okay, perfect. All right, and then we'll go down to the weekly. Everything's the same, right? We're still bullish. Now, one thing I noted in the last video is the seasonal tendency as of now, where January makes a high generally at the beginning of the year and then creates a low, right? So the high generally forms right before the halfway point of the month. So that's something to keep in mind as well, based on what we were looking at or 20 years of data. So currently where I'm at, right? If you look here, in terms of this price action, each four of these candles, right, represents an entire month, right? So four different candles represents a month. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, right? So we're also at a point where we are about 3 months in and can be reasonably anticipating a shift in structure, and we're also above a historical high, creating a new historical high, right? So that in mind, let's go down to the daily chart and refine this a little more. So it's not showing there. Daily chart, higher time frame. When I say higher time frame, I'm not referring to monthly. I don't honestly know why I haven't named that because then I have like a monthly chart. But anyways, all right, it's fine. So here we are on the daily chart, and we're on ES. Okay. So in terms of that, this is what I've been focusing on in terms of the draw on liquidity. Now, and one thing I was focusing on is the fact that we just wicked above this here, right? And we have done that a few times. So wicking above these bodies, but not the actual wicks, right? If you look here, this is the wick or the high, and it hasn't gone above that. So we're looking at a potential, rejection block. Okay, being that this would be a high. Now we're not going to pick highs or anything, but I'm noting that. Okay, and you can see that price reacting from that. Now, keep in mind this candle. This is one of the things that it's important to know the news drivers because price created this low, but then it also created this high, and then essentially it closed here, right? It closed lower for the day, but did this like whipsaw kind of like back and forth thing, right? So anyways, we're just focused on that as of now. How about for NQ? Have we taken that level buy side? Nope. All right, and that's currently still what my expectation is. But if we look here, the consecutive up close candles before the down move. Okay, let's see if we are in the 50% point of that. Okay, right, so we're slightly above it, and we can see the candles for the most part are like respecting that, right? So ultimately, we would not want to see it continue trading higher. We see these like little, wicks, and if we move it here to the actual wick high, right, then we simply only see the wicks. All right, so I'm just taking a note of that as well. Also, as I mentioned, we did have reason to expect price to trade here, not only because of this inefficiency. I mentioned this, I think, in the video where honestly it didn't record, but I was mentioning how this large inefficient movement to the downside was also something I was looking at. But in terms of right now, there's no bearish indication here, right? Other than the fact that we had a high, but then so we had a high, higher high, middle in between taken out, retraded, but that was invalidated with us passing, significantly past that. Now we're looking at what are the next things, right? Rejection block and an old high and an order block, right? So what is it again? So it's mitigation block, liquidity void, um, bullish, or in this case bearish breaker, um, and then fair value gap, and then bullish or bearish order block, and then rejection block, and then old high or low. Okay, that's what we're looking at. So in terms of like a PD array, we would use like a daily chart to refine that based on what I'm learning right now. And let's go down to ES, right? So same thing. Now we have that outline. Let's go to the 4 hour. Okay, this is something separate from those concepts because what I was just talking about refers to higher time frame PD array. Okay, so here, what are we looking at? Well, firstly, where is the most obvious, draw on liquidity between this high and this low? Well, looks like when this low came down here, it took sell side liquidity, right? So now we have traders who place their stops here, right? And so, okay, sorry. All right, so the current idea is that price is going to, continue for these buy stops and create a new high. Okay, that's the current idea for both NQ and DS, right? In terms of the weekly range. So now that today was Friday, let's go ahead. Like I said, I wasn't on yesterday. And honestly, dude, I did not feel like doing this right now. I'm not gonna lie, but I gotta get better about making decisions based on who I am rather than how I feel. And honestly, I feel like my fucking, I don't know, man. Never mind. Anyways, all right, let's just go here. So look, Sunday. All right, so here we are on Friday, and so essentially the week did close higher than its opening price, right? Did it do it for? Let's see. Yes, 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Okay. All right, perfect. Right. So currently we're showing this, but also, what if price doesn't trade up here? Right. What does that show us? Well, it shows us that there's weakness, okay, in price, and weakness being that price is not showing that it wants to take out an old high. It knows that traders have put their stops here, and when I say it knows, I'm referring to the interbank price delivery algorithm, which is going to look, doesn't know where the pending orders are, but it is going to gravitate towards those levels. And so, um, you know, essentially, a old high is where people have their stops. So there's buy stops above here. And so if we don't see price show that, then we're seeing a weakness to the sell side. So I'm keeping a note of that, but ultimately we closed the week higher. We won't go into 30 minutes here. We'll finish this off on the lower time frame. And honestly, because I've mainly been studying the higher time frame, dude, not much changes. Like, I'm pretty much reiterating a lot of the same stuff daily, and it's fine because, honestly, I feel like I gain more and more understanding, and even though I'm doing it in like different things, I'm trying to add things, right? And that's what I'm trying to do now. And this weekend, I'm gonna refine my understanding because I finally just finished the last lesson of month fucking 5, bro. Oh my god, finally. Dude, I'm on month 6, bro. Month 5 took so fucking long. Alright, and part of that is honestly just being exhausted from my job and shit, but I'm not fucking stopping anytime soon, dude. Alright, so listen, anyways, here we are. Okay. Let me make sure, did I change the lower time frame? Or which one? Yeah, but no, I did. Okay. Right. So here we are. I'm gonna delete this off. Alright, let's delineate this range of the last couple of days. Right, so same thing, right? We're seeing price ultimately close higher, right? This is the whipsaw, okay? And let's look exactly when this happened. 8:30. What was that 8:30? Okay, this is why it's relevant because what did this do? First of all, well, this targeted an old low, and then what did it do? Then it moved higher, okay? And then it closed off for the week, but ultimately the week still closed higher, right? So what it really did was it formed a high and then closed slightly lower than the high, right? And then we have, this is the opening price. Okay, price initially traded lower, and then we were going higher every single day of the week. Yesterday was bearish. Why was it bearish? Because of those news drivers. Today, hold on. Oop, I didn't mean to move that. Here's the opening price, right? So price is consolidating when you see this sideways price action. So price has now consolidated after that. Okay, and so in terms of what I'm expecting, I'm just expecting this consolidation to move us to the level of buy side that I'm expecting currently back here from last week. Okay, and as I mentioned, I'm expecting us to make a high next week. So let's see if I'm right on that. I could be wrong. But anyways, that is the current expectation, right? So to re-clarify, on those higher time frames, I'm still expecting higher prices. Well, why am I expecting higher prices on a monthly and weekly? Because there's been no indication of anything else. Now, on the daily, all right, I can start using this PD arrays, and I've been able to eliminate what I thought initially was a potential breaker block by when it, traded up, it wanted to continue going higher. And so in terms of what I'm looking at now, I'm looking at a potential rejection block or price to go to those buy stops. I'm also noting the fact that there's a seasonal tendency for price to consolidate in the month of January, and how about to the middle of the month it will create a high. And I'm taking that information because it's not a panacea or end all be all, as ICT says. All right, and I'm looking at where we currently are in price, and I'm looking at this high where a lot of people will believe that this move is going to be the top. They'll pick a top, put their stop here, and they're about to be stopped out next week when we see price actually continue to those highs. And when I say stopped out, I mean large funds, because they trade on the higher time frame. They're not here on the 15-minute time frame, so there is liquidity above here from traders who have placed their stops above an old high, or who have picked a top, right? This is the highest price is going to go. Now, apart from that, I've followed the week, and it has closed higher. Okay, and ultimately, sure, last week closed lower, but we've been seeing higher and higher and higher prices. It hasn't stopped, right? You see here, consolidate. This week was a consolidation, right? This week, this was the open. Sure, it traded lower, but it was actually just a consolidation, and it did trade above the open, even though it did made that low. It traded above the open, so this week closed higher. This and the weeks prior definitely closed higher and higher. So one candle alone, right? We have this is essentially the breaker where we had a high, run above that high, a low in between, movement below it, trading back up to it, right? But this is now further than we would expect, because we would expect a breaker for price to trade back to that and then break down, right? Now we're seeing price consolidate here, but it's significantly above that low, right? And so if price is going to trade up here, we can reasonably expect it to trade to this high, and so on, because in terms of where we are, okay, we're not currently expecting like prices to continue lower, okay, based on what I've been looking at. Now we need to start using intermarket analysis. Okay, that's one of the biggest things that I need to start focusing on. Seasonal tendencies, right? In terms of that, we need to note the most relevant seasonal tendencies. I need to distinguish the difference between a limit and stop order, because I know how to use them, but I don't understand the difference between them because I just haven't learned that. So in ICT, even though he talks about it and how to use it, he doesn't say like what the difference is, and that's what I don't understand. But anyways, I'm going to close that off here, and I will be back probably tomorrow, and I'm going to continue to work on this weekend. So that's all.